Hello. I'm just packaging some books to send overseas to some people who don't have as many things as I do. And I just put a note inside this book because this is one of my favorite books. And I had extras of it, and so I'm sending my extra one. And I just thought whoever gets it, this note will make it seem more personal, and I'd like to be their friend. And so I put my address on the note too. Do you have any extra books or toys or clothes that you don't need? You could share them with people overseas, you know. Books are fun to share because books you can learn things from, and so I'm hoping those people will learn things. Have you ever closed up a box without tape? I'll show you how. You put down one short side and then one tall side and then a short side, keeping it on top this time, and then a tall side, and then end by pulling up the short side. Ta-da! Now, when I take it to the packing place, to the shipping place, I can have them put tape on it. And I just need to carry them down to the car. Yikes. These books are heavy once you put them all together. I don't think I'm going to carry all these boxes down to the car, and my husband won't be home for quite some time. I think I'll get someone help me because I have to go all the way down the stairs, and I don't think I'd manage this. I'll get someone.
Again. Come up for a visit, my friend. There's so much to do. I have so many things planned for you. We'll laugh and we'll play. We'll sing and we'll pray. I'll tell you a story or two. And we'll be friends, you and I. Yes, you and I.
Well, Tammy, thanks so much for coming up to help me, and I'd like you to meet my friends.
Hello.
And like I was telling you on the phone, I packed all these books individually, and they didn't seem heavy, but now I'm worried that if I pick up all these boxes by myself and carry them down the stairs that I might hurt my back. Do you have any good ideas?
Well, we could carry them together.
Okay, great. And we're just going to carry them all the way down the stairs together? That seems like it still might wear us out.
Well, I brought something I think will help us.
Really? Okay, so what do we do? Well, I've seen one of those
It's a
before.
dolly.
A dolly?
Uh-huh.
Where'd you get one of those?
Well, my husband has so many tools in the garage, and so I thought I'd just bring this over.
Oh, that's great. Mine does too, but I forgot all about those kind of things. Okay, so what shall we do? Oh, okay, good idea. Oh, boy, working together makes it better, doesn't it? Oh, that's way easier when we both work together. Okay, you ready for this one? Okay, you got it. Oh, this one's even heavier almost, and it's littler. It must be more dense books or something. Okay, I'll kind of push this one over. Oh, this one's heavy too. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay. Now what?
Well, I think that when you use your head and the tools that are provided for you, it'll make the job so much easier.
Oh, and it's like you make your strength work better for yourself. Okay, Tammy, what do you want me to do to help?
Maybe if you pick up on the bottom box, and then I'll just use my foot here and we'll tilt it.
Okay.
And that'll help.
So I kind of have to support them. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is good. Okay, we ready? I'll just sort of steady them here. You know, when you use your head and think about getting good tools, like what Tammy did, then that really makes things easier, doesn't it? I think when I think about that, that reminds me of a lot of things. For instance, whoever built this table probably did some research to find out just how thick to make the legs and that support piece underneath and stuff. And even things like putting an engine back together or something, you know, you have to kind of learn things and know what you're doing to make it so that what you're doing works out well and strong. This, you know, the Bible even talks about that in Proverbs. In Proverbs chapter 24, verse 5, it says that a wise man has great power, and a man of knowledge increases strength. You know, if God says it, it must be true that using your head makes you stronger.
You can be strong in muscles, lifting weights, strong in endurance to win the race. But a wise man knows the way it goes is smart, is strong. You can be strong in your lungs, strong in your feet, strong in your arms, and strong in your teeth. But a wise man knows the way it goes is smart, is strong.
Well, Buzz, what is this big machine you have me up on anyways?
Janice, this is a D9 bulldozer made by Caterpillar.
Wow, it's big.
It's a nice piece of machinery.
I think you must like it, hey?
Because I enjoy my work. It's very good to
Well,
me.
I can tell you do. What do you do with these big machines?
We do a lot of subdivisions, homes, grading, roads, anything that has to move the earth and balance it and put it to grade.
Oh, right, like getting the earth to the right smoothness so
Right.
that then they can lay the black top or the cement or whatever.
And build your home or whatever they're building.
Well, that's a pretty important work, I'd say.
I enjoy it. It's been
Yeah.
very interesting.
That's great. Now, I noticed that it doesn't have tires like a car and it doesn't have a steering wheel. How do you do it?
These have steering clutches that we move the track. This makes it, it goes left. This one here just go right.
So this
Make your
makes it
angle.
go, moving these things makes it go right or left.
Right, this makes it right or left. This here is our rippers that we have. The handle makes it go up and down.
And where are the rippers?
The rippers are located in the back of the tractor.
Okay.
And that's what helps the tracks for the pulling power to rip the material, because some material is very hard, and you rip it up to pick it up with the scrapers and move it.
And what does that do?
This runs the dozer. That's what they call it, a bulldozer. It's a dozer blade. Makes it go up and down, and it tilts. And this one has a slope board on it, so it has a little red trigger on it. You push the trigger, and then when it goes in, it makes the slope board go up and down.
And
Operates.
what exactly do the rippers do again?
The rippers rip the ground when it's really hard to penetrate the ground, when you work in the different material as rock and different things like that.
Like getting it all chopped up so that...
Right, to break it up
Looser.
so that the scrapers can come in and pick it up and haul it away or whatever.
And these big tracks instead of wheels, how do they work? What are they for?
The tracks are basic for traction.
So you could go up a steep
You can
steep
climb
hill or
good
something.
for traction, go up a steep hill, good climbing and things like that.
Do you ever get scared working like on a steep hill or something?
Sometimes it gets pretty scary, but you try to take in safety into
And to me, this bulldozer looks so strong and everything, but do you have to do anything to keep it strong? Like check it or anything? Or?
Yeah, we have mechanics around that to check these every morning before we go to work. They check them and then shut them off, and they check for your oil leaks. And
So basically every day it gets checked over real thoroughly
every day it's got to get checked over. It's an expensive piece of machinery
in order to keep it strong and
to
working
keep it
well.
operating.
Yeah, well that's great. And it seems like you enjoy your work.
I enjoy my work. I've been doing it for 29 years.
That's a
and
long
I
time.
enjoy it.
Well, you know, I have a feeling that there are lots of children who would really like to drive a machinery like this when they get bigger. And I think that there must be something they could be doing right now to get ready for that. What are some of those things?
Basically, it's just watch for people working around you, because it's a big machinery, and safety is a thing that you really want to stress. And basically, that's it, and it's just enjoying your work.
So if they practiced being happy and enjoying what they do now, then that'll help them
Yes,
for later?
definitely.
And
I
practicing
enjoy it.
safety and all the things that they
Yes.
do. Well, Buzz, thank you for taking me on your bulldozer. I've enjoyed this.
I've enjoyed it too.
Well, that's great. And you meet me in the attic because we have a great experiment to do. This is an experiment that you could try at home if you get someone to help you. You just need a regular beach ball and then a board and something heavy and some tubing like what you'd buy at a hardware store. Now what we're going to do is you're going to see how strong water can be. This block weighs at least 40 pounds, and to make it even more impressive, let's put Amy on top. And Amy weighs at least another 20 pounds, maybe even 25 pounds. Hang on tight, Amy. Okay, now Byron's going to climb up and start to pour in the water. This is called a hydraulic experiment. Hydraulics means movement with water. And what's going to happen is if you watch real carefully, you'll see the water is going to start coming through the funnel, down the tube. It's a plastic tube, and it's coming down and all the way around and into the beach ball, and it's filling up the beach ball and pushing on all parts of that board, and then that's what's lifting at least probably 65 to 70 pounds. See how it's gone up so far? And the higher you put your tube, then the more pressure you have to lift up heavy things. And so with just not that much water, you can lift up something heavy, and that's how big machinery runs, is on hydraulics. They have tubes going all through the machines, and then they go to cylinders that have pistons in them, and then the fluid goes through those tubes, and that's how they work. So now you know what hydraulics is. It's a big word, but it makes sense when you know about it, doesn't it? You know, the rules that God made to make our world work are really neat.
Hey kids, if you love all the fun things you get to do with Janice and her friends, you'll flip over this. It's Janice's activity book. Loaded with fun, this book teaches scripture through mazes, puzzles, dot-to-dot games, coloring, and more. And the best part is, it's free! Let's take a look inside. The scripture on this page says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now, let's circle the pictures that are the same. That's right, you've got the idea. There are many more fun-filled activities in this book just waiting for you. By the way, did I mention it's free? To get your very own copy, have your mom or dad write to Janice's Attic Activity Book, care of 3ABN, P.O. Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois 62896, or call 1-800-752-3226. Don't wait, order yours today.
Did you know that an elephant's trunk has over 40,000 muscles in it? Isn't that incredible? And yet with his trunk, he can lift up a single blade of grass. He can use his trunk to scratch himself, to take a shower with, to pull over trees, to lift up logs. Elephants are strong. Another animal that's very strong is much smaller than an elephant, and yet that animal can lift up to 27 times its body weight. Have you guessed? I'll tell you a story. One day a naturalist was out walking, and as he walked along, all of a sudden he saw on the ground at his feet a patch of wild rice that was 3 feet by 5 feet. Now naturalists are very good at observing things, and so being the good naturalist that he was, he right away hopped down on his knees and just spread right out on the ground and started looking. And you'll never believe what he saw. He saw little ants just scurrying around. Some were plowing in the field, some were pulling up weeds, and others were carrying the weeds away. Well, all summer long, he kept coming back to that little field to watch these rice farmers, the ants who were farming the rice. And he came every day to watch because it was so fascinating. By the end of the summer, that patch, the rice in it had grown to be 24 inches tall, and he watched the ants harvest it. They went scurrying up the stalks of rice. Each ant would grab one kernel of rice, which was almost as big as an ant, and then carry it back down the stalk and into the underground tunnels of the anthill and store the rice. Isn't that amazing how God has made it so that ants are not only strong, but they know to use their heads and work together. They use their brains and add that with their strength to work together.
I see a tiny little ant, a small black ant, lifting 20 times its body weight, but they all work together to help each other. Brains and brawn are great. I see a big elephant, a gray elephant, hauling logs and moving weights, and they all work together, taking care of each other. Brains and brawn are
Dr. Nevlin.
Hi, Janice.
We just came from the jungle forest, and it was fascinating because we were learning about how strong God has made ants and elephants. And while we were talking, it occurred to me that probably there are some kids watching who would like to know some simple hints of ways that they can become strong.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. As a matter of fact, the first thing they ought to do is to get good nutrition.
Is that good food? Oh, it is.
That's right, vegetables
Oranges?
and
Oh.
our fruits.
Okay.
And we want to make sure we get a variety of them because they have in minerals and vitamins which our body needs in order to be strong.
And I take it you want natural food.
That's exactly correct. The second thing that they need to get is exercise. Exercise with good shoes.
Oh.
And these shoes help us to get the kind of exercise that our body needs for our heart to be strong, for our muscles to grow, and even our bones to grow correctly.
So just any kind of exercise. Exercise is fun.
As long as you're having fun, that's the most important thing. The next thing that you want to get is enough sunshine or sunlight.
That's easy. I love being in the sun.
You see, the sunlight goes to our skin, and our skin makes vitamin D, which then goes to our bones and helps them to be nice and strong.
Oh, so it's important besides fun.
That's exactly right. But you don't want to get too much sun, because if you get too much sun, that can hurt your skin.
Sunscreen, I take it.
Sunscreen is very important, and a pair of shades.
I have an idea. How about a hat? Would a hat help too?
It certainly would.
Do you like it?
The next thing that we need is rest.
Rest? Why?
With some nice pillows. These pillows will help us to, would you believe it, grow.
You grow while you're sleeping?
You grow while you're sleeping. That's very, very, very important. But you don't want to get too much rest.
Oh.
And that's where temperance comes in.
Temperance, that's a big word.
It's a balance.
Balance.
A balance between the two. We call that temperance.
Okay, now is that just in rest and exercise or in everything?
Anything. Even a good thing, too much is not good for you.
Temperance is balance.
That's exactly correct.
In everything we do.
The next important thing for them to get is air. Air which fills our lungs with good air and oxygen that our bodies need in order to live. It even helps us to think real well. Very important that you have good air. The next thing that's important is water. Very good water. Clean water.
Oh, I love drinking water.
Water that you drink is good for the inside of the body, and you also need water for the outside of your body as well. So both of those are important. The next thing, however, which I think is the most important thing, is found in the good book, the Bible. And it's found in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. And this is what it says. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Trusting in the Lord, I think, is the most important thing for us to do.
Nutrition,
Exercise,
water, sunshine, temperance, air and rest, trust in God. Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air and rest, trust in God. Trust in God.
Did you know that one of the best ways to become a good friend of Jesus is by spending personal time with him every day? Well, adults do that by praying and by reading their Bibles. But if you can't read, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Or maybe you just like listening to tapes. Well, here's a fun way to have your very own devotions every morning when you get up. Janice has made these morning time devotions for her kids and for you, complete with songs, prayers, and stories. For more information, have your parents write to Morning Time Ministries, Box 208A, Kitwanga, that's Kitwanga, British Columbia, V0J2A0, or call 1-800-263-7671. Here's the number again, 1-800-263-7671.
You know, the Bible says that people who follow God's rules will be strong like a tree. Let's think about what makes a tree strong. Well, the roots have to go down deep, and then they spread way out, and they gather water and minerals and take them up to the leaves. And then the leaves mix the water with the sunshine it's absorbed and the carbon dioxide and make sugar to give the tree energy to grow. What do you think would happen if the roots said, "Oh, we don't feel like sending water up to the leaves today"? And then if the leaves said, "Oh, we're too tired to make sugar for this tree to grow with"? Would the tree be able to grow? Of course not. The only way the tree can grow is by following the little plan that God has made for it to grow. That's how it is with you and with me. By following God's plans, God's rules, we'll be strong like this tree. Why don't you meet me in the story corner and we'll have a story. Are you ready for a story?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, in Longview Village, there have been some very mysterious but wonderful things happening, and nobody can figure out who's behind all these good deeds. Remember where we stopped? Roy was at Mrs. McIntyre's house trying to find who had fixed her table for her. And did he find out? No, he fell asleep. Well, now he's down at the end of the driveway and he's trying to decide which way to go. There were 4 paths that he could take. He could go down the road towards the village, or he could go up a rough little rocky path up the mountains, or he could go across on a side road toward the peat fields, or he could go across the fields in the direction of the cave. He made up his mind he was going to head towards the caves. Ooh, it was 1 o'clock in the morning by now. It must have been at least 30 minutes to get to the nearest police station, but he decided that he wasn't going to miss out on this, and so off he went. He had his flashlight and he just started running, and he was jumping over boulders. And in Scotland there's lots of little low stone walls here and there for, I guess, for the people's property lines, and he would jump over those, and he just ran and ran, and sometimes he'd get tired, but he would just keep running. And then all of a sudden, in the distance, one of the times when he flashed on his flashlight, he caught sight of a hazy figure way up ahead. And so he flipped off his flashlight and he kept on running just as fast as he could. And he kept going and going and going, and then he turned his flashlight again, and it looked like that person was even closer. It looked like he had caught up even more. And so he kept going and going, and he was just running and running and running. And then when he was just getting near, it was around the place where he remembered getting the clock spring. Remember when he found the rusty clock spring? It was right around there. Something caught his foot and he tripped and he went sprawling out on the ground. Well, as he was trying to gather himself together and get up again, he felt down by his foot, and what he had tripped on was kind of this piece of iron sticking up out of the ground. And he thought, in the middle of out here, what's that doing out here? And by the time he got himself up and turned his flashlight on again, he couldn't see anything or anybody. So he went a little bit further, but he decided that it was useless. He decided he wasn't going to be able to see them. So he turned around and he trudged home. Well, you know, he never got home till 3:30 in the morning, and he was exhausted. Well, he went to bed, and you can imagine that he didn't get up bright and early the next morning, did he? In fact, it was almost lunchtime before he got up. And when he got up, he went down, you know, for lunch, and it was that around lunchtime that he heard the next news. Do you remember the widow who had been given the crackers and stuff by her bedside? Well, the mystic workers came to her bedside again. And this time they brought her bread again and crackers
and the herring fish, but this time they added a 1/4 pound of cocoa. And so Roy decided this time he was going to be a smart detective, and so he went straight over there and he said to her, he said, "I'd like to see what came." And she said, "Well," she said, "I've already eaten the fish and I've started to eat the bread." And he said, "Well, I'm most interested in seeing the package that the crackers came in and the package that the cocoa came in." And so he got a good look at both of those, and then he went back to his uncle's store and he said, "Uncle, do you sell crackers like such and such, and do you sell cocoa like this kind?" And his uncle said, "Well, yeah." And Roy said, "Have you sold any of that to anybody lately?" And his uncle said, "Well, you know, as a matter of fact, I have, but why, I sell that kind to so many people. How could I remember which person I sold it to?" Well, that made Roy make up his mind. He didn't feel like he was getting anywhere, and so he decided that he was going to get up the courage, even though his friends didn't think it was a good idea. He decided to get up the courage to go and check the cave himself. So he spent all the rest of that day and part of the next day going around to different villagers and asking them everything that they knew about the cave. He wanted them to tell him just what it looked like inside, and then he'd listen and he'd draw little diagrams from just what they said. And he was getting all of these together when all of a sudden, it was later that evening, that old Corky came along. And do you know what old Corky said? "I saw somebody in front of the cave." Can you imagine that? And then it was that same evening that Peter MacDonald came home and he said, "I heard banging in the cave again." Roy knew he needed to go see. And next time I'll tell you how he did it. Did you catch what the mystery word was yet? The mystery word's an important one because it makes you strong. 8 doctors. Now you see if you can remember what all those 8 doctors are this week and see if you can use all of them, okay? See you next time.